I'm going to invite everyone to pick up this book, Spiritual Economics. I'm going to be teaching and speaking from it for the next couple of weeks. And I want abundance in your life, regardless to the circumstances your life may be in. So it's your season to be blessed. And it's only about consciousness that opens us all up to all the abundance and prosperity. And I know that that will happen with us studying this book. So join me in that. This morning, I'm inspired by the book Beyond Belief, the science-backed way to stop limiting yourself and achieve breakthrough results. Can you say amen? Amen. You know, when you say that somebody else is limiting you, it's not that difficult. But when you find out you're limiting yourself, that's the one that's a great revelation. You know, I know you don't know this, but I do need to share with you that, full disclosure, that sometimes I just don't always get it right the first time. Somebody said it's recorded. I'll never admit to it. It better be on video. It wasn't me. But the question is why don't we get it right, even after trying, time and time again? Sometimes why don't we get it right? And right is really what we want. And whatever that is, it's not my idea of what's right for you. It's your idea of what's right for you that is the issue. So the question is, if believing does it all the time, why doesn't it manifest? We have to go beyond belief, and going on belief in a faith community is understanding the power of faith. Because with faith, it doesn't require verifiable truth. It just requires an acknowledgement with inside of me that it is true regardless to the circumstances that are going on in life. Belief you can change based on your decision, but we have to get to a point of faith where regardless to the facts that present themselves, we still can overcome. We can change our beliefs. This is why we say change your thinking, change your life, or if you have a thought that doesn't work for you, you can replace it with one that does. And he talks about that there are three powers that you have for personal empowerment. These three powers are attention, anticipation, and agency. That is what the scientists call it. What I call it is name it, claim it, believe it, and receive it. I'm just a simple kind of guy. So in the process of understanding that I don't always get it right, let me give you some examples. I have had the gym membership that I didn't use. I know I'm the only one, but you do understand that it's a marketing strategy. They don't really expect you to show up. They just want you to pay the monthly fee. And I contributed to that part of the economy for a few years. The better one is I had a Nordic track in my bedroom. And no matter how I passed that Nordic track, and no matter how many times I looked at it every morning, I didn't get any exercise out of it at all. There was no evidence in my life that having that instrument was making a difference for me. I wonder why. Am I the only one? Oh, if I check your house, I bet you there's a treadmill. I bet you there's a thing where you lift your arms and you have rubber bands and all kinds of things that you have bought. And we buy them and we think, well, surely it's going to make a difference. But the issue is we try believing, but we don't get beyond the belief to the point where we embody the change that we are looking for. Because until we embody the change, we probably are not going to change. We say in business that culture trumps strategy every time. It eats it for breakfast. And so the reason why is culture is about our habits and our history and what has become a part of us. And there are things that we do that we don't even think about. So it's the things that we pick up in life that we don't find useful that we have to examine. Because we have to answer the question, how to get beyond belief is understanding what serves me and what doesn't serve me. Because we must become what and see in life what we really want to see in our lives. I bought all the planners. I have set all the alarms. I tell myself every evening that I'm going to look at my agenda for tomorrow so that I'm prepared. Yet and still, when I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I look at my calendar and go, oh, I'm supposed to be at work at 5. That's going to be a challenge. But it's only because it hasn't become embodied in me. I really don't want to do it, right? I tell myself I want to do it. I tell myself I want to get on that Nordic track. But nonetheless, I really don't want to. And until we change how we think about it, it's not going to happen. I can think myself into a change. We must finally adopt the habits that benefit the world that we want to manifest in our lives. That's just the way it is. We must change how we think and how we approach life. So, Near talks about, he says there's a man who had to have ankle surgery, which is a very serious thing. And he did not want general anesthesia. Now, he probably should have had a psych eval, but that's judgment on my part. But there are people who have surgery without anesthesia. And this gentleman wanted to have surgery without anesthesia, so he studied self-hypnosis to get himself to the point where he felt he was comfortable. And guess what? He was having the surgery, and it all went fine until he heard the surgeon say, we have about 15 minutes to go. And he lost his concentration, and what he had under control was now no longer under control. Why? Because we want to believe something, and then we get a new piece of information, and we just let go what may already be working for us. Near tells a story about how he struggled as a kid with his weight. This is not a weight sermon by any stretch of the imagination. This was his objective. He said, but he had to deal with the fact that he didn't wear his brother's hand-me-downs. He wore his father's hand-me-downs. And I don't know if you've ever met any children, but they have a tendency to be rather cruel about such things. And he said he tried every diet. And guess what? Every one of them worked until he heard that it didn't work. And soon as he heard that it didn't work, immediately he gained all the weight back. Why? Because he wasn't embodying the change. New facts were coming in, and he had decided to no longer believe what was actually working for him. Have you ever tossed out the belief that is actually working for you because someone gives you a new fact? They give you some element of science, a new article. I don't know about you. I have lived long enough where eggs were unhealthy, then they were healthy, then they were the ideal food to have, but then you shouldn't eat them. I have been through it. Fat, oh, that was the biggest scam we've ever been through. Right, you shouldn't have fat in your life. If you don't have any fat in your life, you're not going to have any energy, because that carbohydrate will give it to you for just a burst. It's the fat that keeps you going. But we had all the fat-free devices. How many people have items in their house that they buy because they say they're fat-free? But you better not look at that carbohydrate content. Because there is enough carbohydrate content in those items so that they taste good, right? But this is the scam, and so we all thought we should be low-fat and fat-free. Well, I'm not fat-free. There's a whole lot of fat here, and I'm blessing every piece of it. But I immediately recoil back to the culture of my personal experience that says I can do anything that God anoints me to do. And God anoints me to do what I set my mind to accomplish. God has not designed something specific for me to do. God will bless everything that I want to do and everything that you want to do if you are willing to commit to the change. he gained back every pound until he realized that he had to change. Now, this applies to us regardless to what your circumstances are. Maybe you just need to be nicer than you are. Maybe you need not to be so edgy and set off when somebody says something. Maybe you need to stop screaming at the television because you don't like the news. Change the station, I'm telling you. But why you just want, I want to change. I don't want to behave this way anymore. But how do you do it? You have to have faith for the change. There has to be something in your heart that says, I can do this no matter what. You can blame willpower, and I thought very often I just didn't have the willpower to get on that Nordic track. I just didn't have the willpower to drive myself to the gym. Then I realized, guess what? Wakey, wakey, baby, you haven't gone because you don't want to. You know, there's nothing about, you just don't want to. And you can do whatever, you can pay for whatever, but until you want to, it is not going to change. I eventually learned that we had to become the identity of what we wanted to manifest in our life. Eventually, I learned that the effort without identity is like planting seeds on concrete and watering the seeds on concrete and expecting them to take root. It's not going to take root because it's on concrete, not in the soil of our consciousness. It has to be in our consciousness. We realize the truth and we must hold to it despite the facts and the evidence that it is not true. I needed the faith to consider the new information and decide to refuse it and not adopt it in my life. Faith works regardless of the belief. You don't have to believe in a supreme being. Have faith in you. That's what you need. You need faith in you. If it's helpful to have faith in the divine, have it. Whatever works for you, use it. And if it doesn't work for you, find something else. Because that's what we teach. You adopt here what works for you, and what doesn't work for you, you can let it go, and you don't need to tell me about it. You don't need to tell me that you don't like what I said, you know? Because eventually, I guarantee you, since I'm always right, that it is going to come back and one day you're going to figure out. It is our psychological assumptions that shape what we see, what we feel, and whether or not we take action. It is our consciousness. He argues that most limits in life we have set upon ourselves. How many times have you told yourself that I cannot and you couldn't? Because you had decided that you couldn't. And until you decide that you can, by the help of God, that I am still going to overcome, you probably won't have things change. But if it didn't work yesterday, it can work today, because there's nothing about yesterday that holds back the blessings in your life today, except we refuse to adopt them. We're not alone in all of this. Across all communities, all the people that you encounter, all of us want change to happen in our life in the direction that we want it to come from, but sometimes it is difficult for it to happen. Sometimes we want to be kinder, we want to be healthier, we want to be more disciplined. I never want to be more disciplined. But the habits that we have betray us because we have to develop a new set of habits in the direction of what we want and where we want to be. So Nair gives us 3 ideas. He says there are 3 powers that we all have, that we have to exercise. It is called attention, affirmation, and agency. Name it, claim it, believe it to receive it. You have to direct your attention in the direction of what you want, despite the evidence that says something is different. Because where your attention flows, what? So does the energy flow. And you need the energy to re-energize you to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. We affirm what is true. What we expect to happen in our lives, we affirm it today even before I see it manifest. Because we believe and teach that in the mind of God, once I say it and I affirm that it is true even if it hasn't showed up in my life. It just ain't here yet. But it is still coming, if I commit to my belief to it. And the issue of agency, agency says that I can. That I can. Why can I can? Because I can set my mind to anything and manifest in my life. Our dreams and our ideas are not idle. They just did not come up arbitrarily. Your dreams are not my dreams. My dreams are not yours. And the Spirit energizes each one of our dreams to manifest. That is why the world becomes so much better place as a function of groups instead of individuals. I wish, there are a lot of times in life, I told you my role model as a kid was Mr. Spock. Why? Because he didn't need anything or anybody, right? I love that. I absolutely love that. But you realize that you have to work together, that the product is better with us working together than if we work alone. True transformation happens, and it is community that helps it to happen, because we should encourage you based on every dream and idea that you have. We shouldn't discourage you. We should encourage you and tell you that you are well able to accomplish what you set your mind to. Your attention is everything. Where are you placing your thoughts and your ideas in your life? When you have a thought, when that thought shows up that doesn't work for you, the thought that comes from the habit that you have today, you have to dispel it and say, it's no longer true for me. I have decided to embody something else. Attention. Anticipation or affirmation is the feeling and the energy that you have to put in where your attention goes. You have to feel it. And you and I have to always focus sufficiently enough so that we feel it being true. You have to daydream yourself into the movie where you are successful at what you want to accomplish. The movie is already playing in your head that you're not going to be able to do it, right? I mean, the ideas of doubt and unbelief are always there. But I encourage you to fail more in life. Fail more. Why? Because the only people that don't fail don't do anything. That's all. You have to fail. Fail more and forgive yourself. No shame, no hurt. It is experience. And it is the experience that you use to empower yourself into your tomorrow. So fail more often. It's all okay. And yes, if there's someone in your life who chooses to remind you of everything that you fail at, tell somebody else. Because nobody needs to rain on your parade. I know it didn't work, but I need encouragement to go on. This is why we teach what we teach. I can believe for you because you want it, regardless of whether or not I think you should have it or not. When somebody comes to me and asks for healing, it has nothing to do with what I think. What is that I know in the divine essence that everybody has health. I can believe for you and not even know what the detail is, because I believe in your highest and best in your entire life, regardless of what your circumstances are. I don't need the evidence. Nobody needs to remind me. You don't need to give me the lab result. I know what the lab result means. But what I know to be true that is in my heart is that healing is available, that abundance is available, that overcoming is available if we are willing to commit to it. Don't wait till you have no other option in your life but to believe. How many times have I heard people say, well, I had nothing else, so I thought I would pray now. And you could have shortened the time frame. Prayed first. But if that's what it takes, that's fine too. Decide today who you want to be. Set your intention in that direction. Then affirm and anticipate. See yourself doing it, being it, feeling it. Make sure you can smell it. It needs to, all of your faculties need to recognize that you are actually where you want to be. And then most importantly, understand that you are well able for this thing called life. And so it is.